We just got a surprise second trailer for the upcoming Disney Plus miniseries, Ironheart. Now that first teaser got quite a reaction, so in today's video we are going to be talking about the second trailer, what we can expect to see in the show, and the absurd negative reactions this show has received before even premiering. So this is a much shorter teaser than the earlier trailer we received a couple of weeks ago, but I think there's a few details here worth talking about. The most eye-catching of which is the combination of magic and technology that this show is going to display. Now, in the comics, the Hood, the main antagonist of the show, utilizes dark magic, which is later revealed to be sourced from Dormammu, whose first and last appearance in the MCU was back in Doctor Strange. Now, I think there's a very strong possibility that this is going to carry over from the comics into the MCU. I've talked about it before, but we also know that Sacha Baron Cohen is cast in this show and we haven't seen him yet in any of the marketing material. And the big speculation behind his casting is that he will be playing Mephisto and the Hood will be getting his powers from Mephisto instead in this iteration, which based on some of the iconography we see here fits right in with some of the things we've seen in Agatha all along. At this moment, the only show to acknowledge Mephisto, so it's very possible that the MCU version of the Hood instead gets his powers through witchcraft and later on meets up with Mephisto, and this will be the first big appearance of the character in the MCU. It even seems like Riri Williams at some point is going to try and use this magic in order to stop the Hood, and the creative team of the show has talked about the conflict having themes of science and technology versus magic. This trailer also gives us a bit more substance to Alden Ehrenreich's character, who has a credited name, but if you saw my earlier trailer breakdown for the first teaser, I talk about the theory that he's actually playing Zeke Stane, the son of Obadiah Stane from the first Iron Man movie. And based on the conversation that Riri Williams and his character have in this trailer, with Riri talking about her father, and the fact that this character had a cache of weapons in the first teaser, I feel 100% confident in saying that he will probably be the secret antagonist of this story. And this character's introduction could signal the beginning of a very strong Armor Wars project that Marvel announced years ago, but with the end of the multiverse saga in sight, I think it's very possible that Armor Wars could be one of the first projects we get in the third saga of the MCU. And Armor Wars would probably be a movie where Rhodey and Riri Williams would team up to go against characters like Zeke Stane and Justin Hammer. Armor Wars has always kind of been on the back burner for the MCU, and honestly, if we're looking at something like Secret Invasion, I'm really glad it was. I'd rather wait until the end of the multiverse saga to see a really great adaptation of Armor Wars, rather than get a really rushed TV adaptation like what we saw with Secret Invasion. But as I said, the trailer is pretty short, around a minute and 20 seconds. If you weren't on board for this miniseries from the first trailer, this one will probably not change your mind. And it'll definitely not change your mind if you're one of the imbeciles running around with the like-dislike ratio that you screenshotted, trying to prove some insane point that nobody wants this show to happen. Yeah, unfortunately, I have to talk about this. It's impossible to talk about Ironheart without addressing the fact that so much of the criticism this series has had thrown at it so far is coming from really bad faith angles. A lot of the major Twitter accounts that were showing the first trailer for the show needed to shut off the replies because of the influx of extremely hateful comments. When I watched the first teaser, I didn't think it was anything mind-blowing. I thought maybe this could be an interesting miniseries, and the worst legitimate criticism I could see anybody throwing at it is just saying, I'll wait to see what happens when it actually releases. But no, there was a big influx of hate, and let's be honest, it's coming from one very specific group of people. Whenever you see an image of the like-dislike ratio, I think you should have an understanding of how that information is gathered. YouTube got rid of the ability for the public to see dislikes on videos back in 2021. Since then, there are a few browser extensions that collects the dislikes from anybody who has that extension downloaded. Now, anybody who downloads those extensions is not part of the general audience. Most people don't care about seeing the likes and dislikes on a YouTube video. Now, the likes are sourced from the actual video itself, whereas the dislikes are sourced from the people who have that extension. Only their dislikes are being counted. So you have something like the Ironheart trailer, which is getting a ton of hate for a very specific reason I'm not gonna mention, but I think it's very clear what what that reason is, and you have this group of extremely hateful people that try and create some kind of purpose out of hating on a show like Ironheart by presenting some fabricated like-dislike ratio, and let's call it fabricated because that's exactly what it is. There is nothing that the Ironheart trailer does that is blatantly offensive to anybody, except this specific group of people who want nothing more than to spread hate and get characters like Ironheart removed from the MCU. Now, I don't like talking about these things, but it is something that is very central to this show. And it's very important to me that I'm transparent and letting you know where I stand on these issues, because those people who leave comments that are inherently hateful bleed over into channels like mine. I have a very firm stance when it comes to comments. I don't remove them when they're critical of me or critical of the video, and most of the hateful ones that are left YouTube normally filters out, but some tend to slip through the cracks sometimes, and those ones will be removed. So I find it important to say this. If you're not interested in Ironheart, that's fine. In my opinion, what we've seen from it so far seems intriguing, but my excitement for it is nowhere near the same level as something like Daredevil Born Again. If you're of the other opinion though, I like to hear those comments. I want to know what people like and dislike about this show, but it's so hard to get a genuine opinion that's not rooted in some kind of hatred. There is nothing that Ironheart has shown so far that has warranted the extreme hatred that this show has already received. That's gonna do it for that topic though. I really don't want to discuss this again, but I'm optimistic for the show. We've got about 2 weeks until it releases. I'll wrap up this video by answering a mailbag question. If you were unaware, you can leave a question down in the comments below that we will answer in a future video with the hashtag mailbag. Today's question comes from Alex Reader. They ask, do you think that we will see Henry Cavill's version of Wolverine in either Doomsday or Secret Wars? No, I don't think we will be seeing Henry Cavill turn up in either of those movies. I talked about it a bit in my video from last week where I discussed the potential Man of Steel 2 where Michael Bay was being eyed to direct, but Henry Cavill has a very full schedule right now. He is currently executive producing and starring in an upcoming series for Amazon Prime about the Warhammer 40k universe. I was also made aware that he's going to star in a Voltron movie, which hopefully that turns out really well for him, and that could be the beginning of a larger Voltron live-action film franchise. As far as his future with Marvel, I think it was really just to make that cameo happen. What we saw from him was great as a cameo, I just don't think Henry Cavill as Wolverine has a future in the MCU. Thank you so much for that question though, and if you'd like to leave your own for us to answer in a future video, leave it down in the comments below with the hashtag mailbag. Just so you know, if you don't leave it with the hashtag mailbag, I won't be able to find it when I answer these questions later on. But again, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.